hormonal imbalance. What is this monster that is called hormonal imbalance? But before that, there's two names here. There's hormones and then there's imbalance, okay? So a little bit of too much or too little, that is what is called hormone imbalance. But what is this hormone? A hormone is a chemical messenger that is excreted by the pituitary gland, right? The other one is your pancreas. The other one is your thyroid here. This is the thyroid gland. We will talk what thyroid gland produces. The other one is your adrenal glands found in your kidneys. So, when you're talking about hormones, what is the function of hormones, right? Hormones, such as the thyroid hormones, they control metabolism and they can also bring the effect of infertility. We talk about that later. Metabolism, that is one function of hormones. You have to understand what hormones do so that you can be able to understand when I'm having an imbalance in this hormone, what is the effect? Okay, so function number one of hormone is metabolism. Number two is reproductive health. You see how your eggs, how your ovum is produced, how your pregnancy is maintained, and how your menses happen. That whole cycle is controlled by hormones. Reproductive health and also milk production controlled by what? Hormones. The other one is called moods and emotions. Moods and emotions are also controlled by what? Hormones. Functions of hormones: metabolism, reproductive health, moods and emotions, growth and development. Yes, for growth to happen, you need hormones. And number 5 is sleep cycle. Yes, for you to, the sleep cycles are controlled by hormones. What are these hormones that are imbalancing? We have said we have talked about what is a hormone. We've also said functions of hormones, right? Now we want to see examples of hormones, right? What are these hormones that when they are too little or too much, they're going to cause a problem? Yes, they're going to cause a problem. You could be actually infertile. Number one is estrogen. Estrogen regulates menstrual cycle. That cycle where an egg is released, when it is not fertilized, it gets out in forms of menses. That cycle is called estrogen must be involved. Without estrogen, that cycle will not happen. That's why you have delayed menses, exactly, or you have no menses at all. Estrogen has a say in it. Too much or too little is going to cause problems. Number 2 is fertility. For you to be fertile, you need estrogen. Yes, and too much of it is also going to make you infertile as well. Yes, you're not going to have pregnancy. Too much of it. Let's also say secondary sexual characteristic of women. Secondary sexual characteristics of women. All right, let's go to progesterone. Progesterone prepares the uterus for pregnancy and regulates the menstrual cycle. You know how estrogen prepares the uterus for pregnancy? You see, the endometrium in the womb, this is layers of blood. When they are too thin, is a problem. When they are too thick, it's a problem. So that balance must be there. That is the sole responsibility of progesterone. So if progesterone is too low, it causes thin lining of the endometrium, which is a problem. If it causes too much thickness of that endometrium, that is also a problem. Let's talk about testosterone. Women also have testosterone, but in certain levels. If they have too much testosterone levels, if women have too much testosterone levels, they start developing beards. Yes, they start developing chest hairs. They start developing muscle. Okay? You see now why this imbalance of hormones, whether it's too little or too much, is going to cause problems. Too much of testosterone in women is going to cause them, they talk like, hey, how are you? Deep voice. Okay? Their chest is going to broaden. Yes. our estrogen is important for women because it gives them the breast, such kind of things. But now when they have testosterone, fertility also becomes a problem, right? Because you're going to have beards, your voice is going to deepen, you're going to have muscle. That's why when some people want to transition, I think, from women to men, they start injecting themselves with testosterone, because testosterone gives supports libido to men. That is to men, okay? Bone health and muscle strength. That is to men. But into women, I've said, they grow hair, they start having a deep voice, they have muscle. You see, which is not a good thing. Let's go to thyroid hormones. This here is the thyroid. Thyroid is this one here. Thyroid, and you're talking about T3 and T4. They regulate metabolism, all right? There's something called hypothyroidism and there's something called hyperthyroidism, okay? Hyperthyroidism is too much thyroid hormones, okay? Hypo is too little, and that is a problem. They're supposed to regulate metabolism and energy in your body, okay? Let's talk about insulin. These are hormones, and we want to check an increase or a decrease on them. What is their effect? Insulin, we know, if you have less insulin is produced where? In the pancreas. Okay? If you have less insulin, you are going to be diabetic. Yes. If you have less insulin or if you cannot produce insulin, you're going to be diabetic. There's no lie about that. 2 liters of insulin. If you have 2 liters and if you cannot produce insulin, you become diabetic. The other hormone is called cortisol. Cortisol helps in managing stress. And so if you are stressed, maybe you should check your cortisol levels. You should check your cortisol levels to see if it's a lack of cortisol that is bringing stress to you. Let's go to prolactin. Prolactin stimulates your breast glands to produce milk. So if you do not have prolactin, are you going to produce milk? You're not going to produce milk. That's why we're saying too much of prolactin is going to make sure that you're this is for women. Too much of prolactin, when you're breastfeeding, you wonder, you are breastfeeding but you are not receiving your menses. It's because prolactin levels are too high. FSH and LH have been suppressed because an increase in one hormone, especially in the menstrual cycle, an increase in one hormone causes a decrease, and they will not be produced, a total decrease in another hormone. Such, if you have too much prolactin, FSH and LH are going to be non-existent. And what does LH do? Follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone is our other hormone. So if prolactin is high, FSH is low. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, is responsible for what? For the maturation of a follicle. This is a follicle. This follicle has to mature. In that, when it is mature, luteinizing hormone now comes into play such that the egg can be released. So if prolactin is high, follicle stimulating hormones is low, and LH and luteinizing hormone. And if they are low, you don't receive menses. That's why when you're breastfeeding, sometimes you don't receive your menses. Let's now talk about this hormone imbalance. We have said an increase in one causes a decrease in the other. An increase in progesterone will make sure that FSH and LH cannot be produced. And if estrogen is high, FSH and LH will not be produced. Okay? That's where you cannot get pregnant. You cannot get menses when you're pregnant. Because progesterone are too high, they causes a decrease in what? In FSH and LH. All right? So in our next video, we're gonna look at the effects of this hormone imbalance. What are the effects when your hormones are imbalanced? When they are high, If progesterone is high, what does it do? If thyroid stimulating hormone, if T4 is high, what does it do? If testosterone is high, what does it do? That is in our next video. And we're also going to look what causes an increase in these hormones. What causes an increase in this hormone? That is in our next video. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you would like this hormonal test to be tested, we do hormonal profile at our lab. It's called Microafia. Just give me a call. The number is on the description bar. See you on the next one.